grown person who was allowing his angels to do the work to get him to evolve. Yeah, we know who he was, and we know what he wasn't, and we know how he was flawed, and that's my message today. We all have those areas that are dirty and gray and gross and that we don't want to look at, but we all come here to do something. It made me think of Abraham Lincoln. I'm a kind of a nerd, so I really love this president, and I love him for many reasons, but I love that he wasn't perfect. And I was watching a documentary earlier in the year and reading a lot, because when I get a hold of something, I just strip it down to the bone. I just research for days and obsess over it, and I just learn everything I can. And I was learning about him, and he was incredible, and he came here to do his great work. We all know what the great work he did was, but he wasn't a great husband, even though he loved his wife, and he wasn't a great family man per se, even though he loved his family. But he was a great president, and he was a great thinker, and he was a great statesman. We don't all get everything, but our angels are always working to help us shore up and tighten up those other areas of our life. And in this song, I see myself, I see other people. As we struggle to think, are we enough? I have to evolve now. I don't even know how to do it because I wasn't equipped. When he says, I didn't have a father, but now I have to be a father. That is deep. How can you be something you never saw? Which is something that plagues the black community. And we know why, and again, another show. But I was fascinated by that. Now he has to rise to an occasion, like his music has caused me to do, that he doesn't even know how he can get there, because he has no one showing him what it is, and he didn't learn it through osmosis. When I was working in those preschools and we were dealing with these children and teaching them how to interact and be little, wonderful, yummy, social humans, and they would have a new sibling, their first instinct was to kill their sibling, okay? They usually didn't like the sibling. The sibling was competition. We are human. That instinct kicked in. It is survival of the fittest. If you like this person and you're feeding this person, what's going to happen to me? And toddlers are all ego. They're total id. They have no filter, and they are just about themselves. So they express that very clearly. What about me? And they plot on how to kill their sibling. One of the things that we would do in the school is we do immersion therapy, where if the baby sibling was in the baby room, we would make sure that on a break or lunch that we would bring in the baby siblings of several of the little toddlers, and we would say, hey, who's the biggest brother, who's the biggest sister? And we would put that baby in their arms, and we would let them rock that baby, and we'd let them hold that baby, because we were fostering a bond. We were teaching them how to be humans that loved another human, even though that human was threatening to them. And the reason I say this is because that is something that is taught. Being a person that connects with other people and knows how to be a caretaker and lover of another person is a thing that is taught through, whether you're learning it through osmosis, being in a family, if you saw your parents lovingly together, or if you didn't see them, we tend to repeat those patterns. And so with those little babies in that immersion therapy, we taught them, we bond with your sibling. This is your sibling. You have this huge responsibility, and they're going to love you so much. It wasn't a natural thing that happened. We created it, and that was a lesson I never forgot. But when I see him struggling, saying, I don't have a father, how can I be a father? I have to be a father because I love my daughter, because I'm in her life, and I get to see her, and I get to know her, and she's looking for me to be something. He's struggling with his ego here, because his natural inclination is to do what his father did. We repeat patterns. And his angels, through these numbers, are saying, push past yourself, and let's get into what really matters, which is evolving. So back to the lyrics. He talks about that pain and crying. The reason that's important is, if you're not a fan, he has a song called I'm Going to Make This Song Cry. And that's the name of the song. It's an awkward name. But what he's saying, years ago, this is where he wasn't to the place he is in his evolution. He was saying, I can't cry, and I can't admit that I have pain because he's too hard, and he has to be hard. He has to have a certain cool image, and so he can't cry. So now he's saying to his future self, or his now present self, cry, Jayz. We know the pain is real. That's evolution. If you don't know the history of that song, and you heard how hard he was then and how callous he was, And he said, I'm going to make the song cry because I don't cry. He was a younger man, and he was full of bravado and ego. But now he's vulnerable. Now he loves Beyonce or loves whoever his wife is. Yes, it happens to be Beyonce, but he loves his wife, and he's like, I am crying. The pain is real. I'm not that person. That's what our angels do. That's how they work with us. They get us to a different place. And so he says this next. You know you owe the youth the truth that fell in love with Jayz. He's talking about the old Jayz. He's talking about how he sold drugs to people that he loved, how he got high on life, and how it drugged him, meaning he got inflated in his ego. The richer he got, the more inflated he got. He said, I was walking around like I was invincible. I dropped out of school. He lost his principles. It's very interesting. He understands that he was living off ego. He understands that he almost lost his wife, one of the most sought-after women and most kind of admired women in regards to entertainment. He almost lost his wife because of his infidelities. And he's saying, bye, Jayz, no, Jayz. If you lost her, I don't even know what you would have done. And so never be like me, he advises to other men. Don't lose your amazing person because of your ego and because you want to sleep around and because you don't realize that you're being a little bit insane in your ego. That's evolution. So in Kill Jayz, we see him trying to rip away his ego from himself. He's grappling with his many overt flaws and trying to find out where his ego ends and the vulnerable man, Jayz, begins. So many of the themes he explores are as a result of deep diving and, again, I believe, working with his angels. So first, let's talk about this angel number, which brought us to this whole lesson, 444. He says in one of his candid interviews that he woke up in the morning at 444, and it happened several mornings in a row. And every morning this idea of this new song and album started coming to him. 444 in the morning, he woke up, and it got his attention. And so when I heard that, I was doing the hallelujah hand clap praise, hallelujah hand clap praise, because I understood we're speaking the same language. Not so much like, hey, Jayz, you're going to call me and we're speaking the same language, but he's speaking a universal language. His angels are speaking to him. That happens to me all the time where I wake up and I see a number 333, 222. I've told you guys plenty of times about the numbers I see on the back of license plates and billboards. It happens to me all the time. I'm very aware of angel communication. So when he said he was woken up at 444, and 4 happens to be one of his favorite numbers, that's why he named his daughter Blue Ivy. He was born on the 4th. His favorite president was born on the 4th, all of that stuff. He really identifies with that number 4. So that is something that I think has been coded into him vibrationally that he may not even realize. Again, another show. But that resonated with him. They knew they would get his attention, and they did. So let's talk about what it means. The reoccurring number 444 means honesty. How honest was some of the lyrics I just read you guys? Honesty and inner wisdom. How wise was what he was saying. This is a sign that your angels are sending to you to encourage you to continue to work and to work hard, to pursue your passions. And it represents rigorous goal-seeking, and it applauds you for your drive. It resonates with the vibrations of practicality, responsibility to his daughter, practicality in a message where he has to shift from being a thug and from being a criminal into being a person that's a businessman and a mogul, and admitting that he was a thug and a criminal. That is real growing up, because it's easy to pretend you weren't who you were in order to be honored where you are. But when you admit who you are and that it took you to where you are now, who you were to where you are, that's growth to me. When you're dealing with angel number 444, you're dealing with productivity, illumination, initiation, and building solid foundations. You're dealing with stability, ability, honesty, and inner wisdom, determination, endurance, hard work, and progress. I don't think there's any harder work than the excavating that this man has been doing in this album. I don't think there's any harder work than the excavating that we all are challenged to do with our journeys in our life and the person that we may not have liked and things we may not have enjoyed that we've done, and looking that in the mirror. That's the hardest work of all. People joke with me that know me that I'm always working. And I love a self-help book. I read some fiction, and it had a couple of things that were interesting, but even the fiction I read had to have interesting plot twists and turns in regards to the human dynamic. that's what fascinates me. That's what I'm on Earth here to explore and to flesh out. That's my calling. And so I think that work is the most admirable work. And that's why there are people like me. Not everybody thinks that way, and that's why there are people like Bill Gates. Because in order for our world to work, we all have to have different specialties. This just happens to be mine. So I really resonate with this number 444, and I understand how Jayz got to where he got to in this album and in this place in his life, because this is the energy and the vibration that his angels have been working on with him. It also represents the four elements of air, fire, water, and earth, and the four sacred directions, of north, south, east, and west, with the 3 fours appearing. The influence and energy of 4 are magnified and intense, and it asks you to pay attention to your intuition and inner wisdom as you connect with your angels and the angelic realm, because it's very strong when you're seeing that number 444. So that's why his angels woke him up and said, hello, you've got a message. You've got something to write. You've got something else to say. We're not done with you yet. And they kept waking him up, and so much so that they impressed it upon him that the album, the whole album, not just the song, should be named 444. But there is a song that is named 444. We'll talk about that. The message is that your angels are with you. They're encouraging you and guiding you and offering positive energies and strength, and they're supporting you to enable you to get the work done that you need to. They know and understand that you've been toiling diligently towards your goals and encourage you to continue on your current path to achieve the success and the results that you're really looking for, okay? So it's so important. If you see 444, use your strong connection with the angelic realm to your benefit, guys, and be open to their promptings and messages. The messages always come. Listen to your intuition and follow the guidance there. But I wanted to talk about, lastly today, 444, which is what got me started with all of this. He really kind of strips himself bare. And here he's talking about infidelity. And, in working with my clients, this subject comes up all the time. I can't tell you how many times people call me and say, is my guy cheating? Is my girl cheating? Are we going to stay together? What do you think? And I think and I say this to my clients, our relationships are the greatest way that we stretch ourselves and get to do our work. And if you stick and stay in the relationship and you tough it out through your addictions, through your energies, through your boredom, through your apathy, through your lust, through your excitement, through your disinterest, through your disengaging, it is the greatest reward you'll ever have. I prize relationship, friendship, love relationship. I prize exchange of energy, and I see the wisdom that our angels and universe and source God has imbued in us in order to grow via that mirror and that tough place next to that person sometimes, and that wonderful place next to that person. And it is through his relationship with his wife that I think that this man has evolved, and his angels have caused him to take a look at himself. And this is what the lyrics say. I apologize often, womanize, took for my child to be born to see through a woman's eyes, because he had a daughter with his wife, Beyonce, and that's the first time. Isn't that interesting? It took for my child to be born to see through a woman's eyes. It took for these natural twins to believe in miracles. They just recently had twins, and so he's saying that they didn't do in vitro. That's what he's saying. I don't know. That's alleged. And that they just had twins naturally, so he realized that this is a miracle. It took me too long for this song. Remember, I referenced that song, I can't make the song, I'm going to make the song cry because I can't. That's what he's referencing here. It took me too long for this song. I don't deserve you. He said he harassed her out in Paris. Please come back to Rome. You make it a home. Now, this is this cool guy with ultimate swagger, and he's saying that he called his wife and said, please come back when they were on tour and doing whatever they do in the world. Come back to Rome because you make it home. For the fellas out there listening, or the ladies, do you know what it is like to feel like your spouse is home? I do. I'm learning that. I didn't even know that was possible. But there's something homey about being with the right person, or a person that you're connected with. And I think in his evolution he realized that even though he thought he could have the pick of the litter, there was one person that grounded him and made him feel like home. He said, we talked for hours when you were on tour. Please pick up the phone, please pick up the phone, he would say to himself. And he said, when he asked her to go steady with him, he said, don't embarrass me, instead of be mine. He said, that was my proposal for us to go steady. That was your 21st birthday. You matured faster than me. I wasn't ready, so I apologize. He says, I've seen the innocents leave your